US President Joe Biden will hold his first presidential press conference today. President Biden is sure to face tough questions, though, on a lot of issues. On the border crisis unfolding in the country's southern border, and on topics such as the COVID-19 vaccination drive, his economic relief bill, and gun laws and gun control in America, among other things, especially after two deadly mass shootings in America within a week. By this point in their presidencies, former presidents Donald Trump and Obama had held their first press conferences. It's been over 50 days since Joe Biden took over as the President of America, making Joe Biden the longest new president to have gone without meeting the press in the past 100 years in America. The president is currently on a tour through multiple states to promote his $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Joining us on this broadcast now is WION correspondent Jagruti Dave. She's joining us from Washington, D.C. Jagruti, Joe Biden is promoting his $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, the COVID relief bill. However, a lot of other issues have made headlines recently. We'll start with the mass shootings in America. Now, Joe Biden had hinted that he may pass executive orders on gun control. Any new updates on that?
Yeah, so this afternoon, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki intimated that President Joe Biden was considering executive orders alongside his pleas to Congress to pass gun reform legislation. The problem is that with the balance in Congress as it is, they would need, Democrats would need 10 Republicans to pass the House bills into law. So this is a real problem, you know, gun control, gun ownership, the issues of the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment. They are all incredibly important issues to many Americans, many Republican voters. And so this is something that is clearly has been a challenge for previous presidents. This isn't the first time that there's been a mass shooting in the United States. We've had two in the space of a week. And there have been calls for changes to background checks, changes to the types of weapons that people are allowed to carry, and that has proved to be very, very difficult. But these are the sorts of questions that Joe Biden is definitely going to be facing in that press conference. Absolutely, but Jagruti, in the past, neither the Republicans nor the Democrats have really taken on the gun lobby head-on in America, isn't it? And Joe Biden suggested that he may pass executive order to ban certain type of assault weapons. Now, that is a huge step if it happens in America. What are the challenges that he faces? Is there opposition to this proposal by the president? Yeah, I think, you know, as I say, there are a lot of people who are worried that this is an infringement of people's rights to bear arms in the United States. And so the taking of an executive order of this kind clearly would be a very challenging thing, a very strong move for the president to make, but he's also clearly weighing up exactly what that executive order would be able to effect. Now, you know, gun control is just one of the issues that is facing the United States at the moment. You've obviously got the coronavirus pandemic. Joe Biden, as you say, on his tour of the United States to promote his $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which, you know, concern there is that going to cause unwanted inflation in the United States? Now, the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, has said that he's not worried about unwanted inflation, that the Fed will be able to manage whatever inflation comes from that. But actually, the important thing is that there is money being injected into the economy to boost it, to support it against a possible further downturn because of the coronavirus pandemic. These are obviously other big issues, but there's also foreign policy issues that I think Joe Biden's going to be facing. One of those is obviously these new weapons tests, missile tests launched by North Korea, which you know, Japan, South Korea and United States officials have said that they could be ballistic missile tests. That is going to pose a huge challenge to Joe Biden's attempts at engaging with North Korea. And people are going to be asking him, is this the end of his sort of softly approach with North Korea? Remember, Pyongyang had launched done some missile tests over the weekend, but they were not ballistic missile tests, which did not breach any UN Security Council resolution. So the Biden administration, Joe Biden himself, was saying this isn't something that we should be too worried about. This is business as usual. However, if these are ballistic missiles, then this is a completely different ballgame. And so I think that's going to be a big question that Joe Biden's going to be asked in that press conference.
Absolutely, Jagruti. North Korea and China, no doubt, will again be a focus as far as foreign policy is concerned. One important aspect that has also come to light in the initial days of the Joe Biden administration is the biggest migrant crisis that the US faces in 20 years.
Yes, a huge issue. So huge, in fact, that Joe Biden has tapped his own Vice President, Kamala Harris, to be the point person on the issue of immigration at the southern border of the United States. Now, she is going to be liaising with partners in across the border in Central America and Mexico, trying to address the issues, the core issues that are causing people to come to the US-Mexico border. They've talked, the administration officials have gone to Mexico and Guatemala. They've discussed things like corruption, gangs, drug trafficking, poverty, all these endemic issues that are causing people to flee their homes and to leave their families to come to the United States. And this is an issue that has become very political. Lots of Republicans are calling for Joe Biden to visit the border, calling for Joe Biden to take what they view as responsibility for the number of people who are attempting to cross into the United States. Republicans arguing that it's Joe Biden's reversal of several Trump-era immigration policies that is creating the environment that is making people think that it's okay to cross the border. Mixed messages that the Biden administration has been accused of sending, at one point saying help is on its way, but then later on saying the border is closed.
Absolutely.
So again, a huge problem that Joe Biden is going to have to address in that press conference.
Absolutely, Jagruti. On that front, I just wanted to ask you on that front, because yesterday certain news agencies, including AFP, were reporting that border officials are telling migrants at the Mexico border that the border is closed. What updates are you gathering on that? Was that a temporary solution that they had to impose at the border at that moment, or is this something that's going to be more common as we go ahead?
Yeah, so what the Biden administration is saying is that they are not sending back unaccompanied minors. They are not expelling them into Mexico, but families and adults they are not letting through. There have been a substantial number of people detained at the border, and one of the crucial issues is what happens to those unaccompanied minors. These border detention facilities, there's lots of questions about the conditions of those facilities, questions that were being asked under the Trump administration, and that Joe Biden is saying, well, actually blaming it on the previous administration for the reason that, first of all, they're arguing that the system is not robust enough to deal with the numbers of people, and the facilities are not robust enough to deal with the number of young people, and that is being blamed by the Biden administration on his predecessor. Now, the current administration is being criticised for not letting journalists into some of those border detention facilities.
Right.
And there's questions about overcrowding, particularly with the coronavirus pandemic underway. So lots of concerns there, as well as, the fact that children are being housed in facilities meant for adults, and there's pressure being put on the Biden administration to house them in more appropriate facilities, which they claim that they are doing as fast as they possibly can.
Jagruti Dave, thank you so much for joining us from Washington. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.